If you have a wooden table at home and are ready for a change, with a little bit of time and energy, this simple project can make that change happen. Today, I will inform you on the steps involved in refinishing a wooden table. First, we want to gather our materials. Those are going to include a sander, sandpaper, wooden stain, polyurethane, stain brushes, and optional items are tarp and a tack cloth. Now for the sander, there are multiple kinds. I would recommend getting an orbital. For sandpaper, we want to get different types of sandpaper, increasing from 60 grit to roughly 150 to 200 grit. The lower the grit is, the easier the old finish will come off, and when you go to higher grit, it'll make it much more smooth. So now after we get done gathering our materials, the second step is sanding the table down. Decide where you're going to sand it, whether it be indoors or outdoors. The reason why we get the tarp is in case we're doing it indoors and we don't have an area outdoors to do it. That way so the sawdust doesn't get everywhere. Secondly, we want to attach sandpaper to the sander. We want to do this before we plug it in, that way so there's no mishaps happening. Start with the lower grit sandpaper like I previously stated and work your way up. After you get done sanding, ensure all areas are smooth and even. If they aren't, retouch it. After this, we're going to move on to finishing the table. We want to make sure that we remove all sawdust from the table. You can use this with the tack cloth that I had recommended, but it's not needed. It's just easier to pick things up with. Then after we get all the sawdust off the table, we want to get a clean brush and then get our stain. When applying this wooden stain, we want to use strokes that go with the grain of the table. And this is going to ensure that the stain gets in the cracks of the table and looks nice after it's all done. After we finish staining and applying the coats, we want to let it set. Allowing it to set will give it that nice deep color the longer that it's staying there. After it's set, we're going to then wipe off the excess stain, and then we are going to apply our polyurethane. Get a clean brush once again and apply the polyurethane. A couple coats of this would be good. There's no right way to do it, but I recommend going with the grain as well for this. This will give it that nice shine. Then after this, just let it dry and you're done. So in summary, today we talked about refinishing a table. The steps involved is gathering the materials, sanding the table, applying the finish, applying stain, and then applying the polyurethane for that nice coat finish. It makes it shine. I hope this process was informative and easy to follow. Perhaps inspiration will come for one of you to refinish your own table in the future, or even apply these methods to a project you are currently working on.